Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we are testing probably the best-selling car in the BMW range for the years to come in the US. I'm talking about the BMW 330i. Now this is the brand new model launched a couple of months ago that has started deliveries this spring. And for US customers, this was the only choice available up until not long ago when the M340i showed up in the configurator. But the problem is the M340i is an M performance model, and that comes with a price hike. So most people will probably stick with the 330i. In Europe, the situation is quite different because customers are currently, even now, spoiled for choice, as they have a couple of choices in the diesel range. They have a 318D, a 320D, and a 330D. And on the petrol side of things, they have a 320i, 330i, the car I'm driving, and the M340i. So a lot more choice in Europe, where diesel is still pretty much king, but the situation is quite different in the US. So this is the new model. I already reviewed the 320D a while back, so I won't repeat the information I said in that review. You can check it out in the link provided below. The new 3 Series rides on a new platform developed for rear-wheel drive cars. It's lighter and stiffer than before. BMW claims it's up to 50% stiffer, so that should make a difference. And to be honest, it feels like it's a really stiff car while on the road. Now that can be interpreted as good or as bad depending on which side of comfort you are. Some people prefer more comfort, so they go for the C-Class or the A4, while other people just want to drive fast and have fun behind the wheel. And this 3 Series follows that recipe that BMW started back some 40 years ago, where they created a sports sedan for the masses. This 3 Series follows the same recipe that has been refined over 6 or 7 generations, depending on how you like to count, because some people like to include the 1500, the new class, in the 3 Series history, but I don't know, it's a personal choice. I think the 3 Series tradition started with the E21. But let's not get tangled up in this sort of details. The 330i comes with a 2-liter petrol engine, and it's a 4-cylinder. It's not a 6-cylinder anymore. Just get used to it. This is the world we live in. If you want a 6-cylinder from BMW on the 3 Series range, you have to either go for a 3-liter diesel or a 3-liter petrol engine that comes only on the M340i. So that's the choices you have. If you don't want to go for an M performance model and you still want a petrol engine, this is the car you're gonna get. This is a 330i. As I said, there's a turbocharged 2-liter engine under the hood, delivers 258 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque from as down low as 1500 RPM. That's an important figure because in truth, the turbos spool up really fast. They're twins, the turbo, I beg your pardon. So the turbo, the one turbo, spools up really fast because it has a twin scroll design, which means it has a smaller blade and a bigger blade inside the casing. So the smaller blade starts spinning up really fast, and then the bigger one starts spooling up as well, delivering even more power. What that means is you have a very responsive engine, and I really couldn't believe how responsive the throttle response is. To be perfectly frank, I decided to drive this car most of the time in Eco Pro mode because it dims down the car a lot, so that you are not, I don't know, taken by surprise by how fast you're going and stuff like that. Also, in the busy city streets I drove it, having all that power available at an instant could create a rather stressful driving situation. So I decided against it. I drove it in Eco Pro mode, and I liked it more that way. So the engine delivers a lot of power from down low. What that means is this thing is fast. It's a bit lighter than its predecessor, so it will do 100 kilometers an hour from standstill in 5.8 seconds, as you're about to see. Now, launch control is not available on all cars. It's only available on the cars fitted with the 8-speed automatic gearbox with the sport package. What that means is you can get a manual, an automatic 8-speed, and an automatic 8-speed sport gearbox, which comes with launch control. That's the only difference from the other 8-speed choice. This is not an X-Drive model. This is a rear-wheel drive car, and I'm so glad this press car was configured that way, because you really get to have fun with it. And if you're following me, I mean, if you've been following me for a couple of years, you probably know that I'm not a big fan of all-wheel drive systems on sedan cars. I don't find it useful. I think you're better off with a good set of winter tires if you're worried that your rear-wheel drive car won't be drivable during winter time, and that's why you're getting X-Drive. But if that's the case, just listen to me, get the rear-wheel drive car, pay for a driving school to learn how to drive, get some really good winter tires, and you don't need X-Drive. X-Drive takes away some of the fun. I mean, BMW does all-wheel drive really great. Their system is rear biased on most cars, and it allows you to have fun, but you still add some weight to the car, and the steering, I don't know, I just prefer rear-wheel drive cars. As far as the ride is concerned, it is a bit on the stiffer side of things. Unlike the 320D that came with the standard suspension with the new lift-related dampers, this model is fitted with adaptive dampers. To be honest, in comfort mode, I don't feel any improvement. I don't feel this car being any more comfortable than the one fitted with the standard dampers, which is a good thing for the car that comes with standard dampers. It's a bad thing for the models fitted with adaptive suspension, because, to be honest, most people get adaptive suspension so that they have a more comfortable ride on a day-to-day basis, and a stiffer ride when you push the car to its limits. Now, as I said, in comfort mode, this car feels basically almost identical to the non-adaptive damper fitted 320D I had before. This car also has 19-inch wheels, but the rubber on them, the tires, are not run flat, so that should help out a bit. This is fitted with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, which are really, really good, and for a rear-wheel drive car, they really make a difference. And in sport mode, the car really comes alive. What you notice the most, I had the chance to drive this car on the track as well, is the steering. The steering is faster and more responsive in sport mode. You can actually feel the difference compared to the old F30 model. In the corners in sport mode, the car really keeps its balance really well. It will oversteer easily because you have a lot of torque going to the rear wheels, and it is a lot of fun to drive. To be honest, I think this is a return to form for the 3 Series, because the F30 always felt a bit too soft, a bit too, I don't know, not hardcore enough for an enthusiast that knows what the 3 Series used to be, knows what to expect from it, knows how to drive it. So the G20 model, this one, feels like a big improvement. The interior is fitted with almost every optional feature you can imagine. We have the Harman Kardon sound system, we have the professional live cockpit that works really well. We have some really interesting trims over here. They don't really matter in my opinion. The sound system is really good, but you'll have to decide if it's worth the €900 premium. The hi-fi system BMW offers on the 3 Series is really good as well. I had that on the other 3 Series. The main difference between the Harman Kardon sound system and the hi-fi system is that the Harman Kardon is louder, so it has more power. But other than that, the differences are subtle. Some people won't even notice them. If you're an audiophile like me, I suggest going for the Harman Kardon system. It also has the adaptive cruise control system that can also keep you in lane. It will brake for you and so on. I'm actually using it right now, so I don't have to pay a lot of attention to the road. Be careful though, this is not a fully autonomous system. It's still a requiring you to be alert. I mean, it will do most of the work, but you still need to be paying attention to the road. In terms of fuel consumption, because a lot of people will be asking about that, will be curious about that, the new 3 Series 330i, I saw a fuel consumption around town of around 9 liters per 100 kilometers covered. I guess that the traffic wasn't that bad. I guess it will rise to about 10, which is a really good figure for a petrol car with 258 horses. Outside the city limits at an average speed of around 62 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, I saw a fuel consumption of 6.57 liters, which is once again a really good figure. I guess you could get close to 1,000 kilometers of range out of this car if you pay attention and only drive outside the city limits. So what's the verdict? Well, it's a really good car, and I think right now it's the one to get in the BMW 3 Series range. Just like its diesel brother I had the other day, it is a bit on the expensive side of things. This tester costs close to 70,000 euros, which is a lot of money for a 3 Series. However, this is an almost fully decked car. It has almost all the options available. It doesn't have the laser headlights and gesture control, but I don't think you really need them. So I think if you configure it wisely, you will get a really good car for less than 70,000 euros. Also, the fact that it seems so little fuel, if you're careful with it, makes it a very good, very efficient model. So if the 320D, I don't know, burns about 5 liters of diesel for every 100 kilometers covered outside the city, this one will do an average fuel consumption of 6 to 7. So it's a small difference, and I think it's worth it because it sounds better, it drives better, and it has a lot more power. That being said, this has been my review of the BMW 330i, the 2019 model. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.